everyone. This is VA to VA. I'm sorry we're just a few minutes late. Again, we had a little issue with our Google Hangout. Sometimes it doesn't want to do a live version. Just wants us to keep it to ourselves. So we had to move positions, and we're up at now. We're very excited today to talk to you about some things with our teams, involving our teams with customer service. So it's a very important aspect about every business. It's something sometimes we even assist our clients with. And we definitely want to bring that up and talk to you guys about it as well. And we're very excited to have Frances Harvey with us. And I'm sorry, Frances, I spelled your name incorrectly in the banner. So sorry.
It
so
happens.
it is spelled F-A-R-A-N-C-E-S, correct?
F-R-A-N-C-E-S. Yeah.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Not a
Tell
problem.
us the name of your business, the name of your company.
My company is My Solution Services.
Wonderful. And you have several on your team, correct?
I do, and adding more as we speak.
That's wonderful. That's exciting. Then we also, of course, have myself, Tammy, with Tammy's Office Solutions. We have Nanette. You introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Nanette Thelemaque. My business is InEssence Virtual Assistants out of Newbury, New Hampshire, and I'm a generalist, so I offer to any business, small business or professional, either graphic work, sales and marketing, and design. So, hello.
Great. Okay, Lisa. Lisa Kolb is with us as well. Go ahead, Lisa. Tell us about your company.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Kolb with Augusta Virtual Assistants out of Augusta, Georgia. Our target market is pretty much realtors and attorneys, but we also work with other types of business owners. And we're glad to have Frances here with us today to talk about customer service.
Thank you.
Indeed. Now, I know we're going to get things started. Nette's going to help us out a little bit with that as we move forward here. She's going to define it for us and talk about some of those things for us. Nanette, go ahead.
Great. Before I start, as always, we welcome your input, and if you have any questions or observations on our topic, we appreciate hearing from you, so please feel free to type in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will address them as we see them. We really like to make it interactive, so please don't hold back. Thank you, Tammy. I happy to join this morning and have Frances with us. As you all aware, our topic this morning is customer service. What are you providing? And we hope to give insight on what is customer service and offer best practices and define the old versus the new ways of providing that service. We also have the opportunity to pick the brain of someone who is running a successful multi-virtual business, and we'd love to get her knowledge and expertise in this area, especially since I hear you're growing so fast. So that must become a concern for you, is making sure your customers are happy. So to begin, let's define customer service. And I would say that customer service started out as help offered at a desk at the back of a department store, but has evolved to so much more. And in this interconnected world, customer service is more than just the help desk agent that answers your questions when you call an 800 number. It's grown to encompass every interaction that a customer has with your service or your brand. And that includes phone, email, chat, web forms, social communications, as well as self-service support sites. And customer service happens before, during, and after a sale. So, for small businesses or any business, it is more than just selling services. It's about building relationships. Customer service is an important part of the promise your business and your brand makes to a customer, and that's a killer for any company. For the virtual assistant industry, it is more than answering questions or fulfilling tasks. It is helping our clients, even when they don't know they need help. It's teaching them how to build their business better and more efficiently, and sharing our expertise with a smile. So for a virtual assistant company, it can be our competitive edge, our selling point, our secret weapon. So how do you provide that great customer service? Think about it as a value proposition with a well-known quote. that I think everybody knows. The cost of acquiring a new customer is 5 times that of retaining an existing one. Good customer service is essentially a variation on the golden rule. You want to meet the same expectations you would have if you were the customer. And providing good customer service is often a matter of common sense. And by the way, that doesn't mean it comes naturally, because I can attest to that working in a college where a lot of these high caliber thinkers are, and it astounds me the lack of common sense that some of them use. To sum it up quickly, it's about putting yourself in the customer's shoes, adjusting your attitude, and to remember to win loyal customers, you will sometimes have to make them feel that they have won. And with that intro, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy and to cover best practices of customer services and open it up to what you guys think.
Great. Thanks, Nanette. While we're, talking about the ways that customer service is provided and all of these things, Frances, what are some of the ways that you feel like with the virtual assistant company, multi-virtual assistant company, that you provide customer service to your clients?
Well, a great question, Tammy. I grew up in a family that had a business in our home, and I watched my parents from the time I was a very young girl, how they handled and treated people. And number one, what comes to mind is building the relationship in the very beginning and respect for that person. Even if you don't agree with somebody, you can listen and you can treat them with respect. And that goes a very, very long way. So what I always come to the table with solution-oriented mind. And wanting to make sure that not only that I stand by my group and by my business and standards and policy and everything, but that I also can listen and hopefully be flexible with the client as well. Because if you don't, in my opinion, really, customer service is what sets a business apart. Because there's a lot of us out there. And with any business, there's competitiveness. And people will go where they're treated well. They'll stay with and they'll be loyal with somebody that treats them well. So if you don't have that good customer service, you're not going to have a good clientele. But there's also a fine line and a fine balance to it. So it's an art.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And some of the key things that I think you brought out, Frances, were, first of all, the relationship. And that's one of the things that, I was going to talk about, too, is how do we help to provide that service for our client? And it is building that relationship, because that comes first. And that's sometimes even before we obtain a client. You're building that relationship with them before they even decide to come to you, because even online or communications through emails as well as social media, things like that, we're already building that relationship. So I love that you brought that out, as well as the respect. That's a huge thing. I think especially in today's world, we don't see that near enough. It used to be the customer was always right, and Lisa's going to talk about this a little bit, but if you went into a brick and mortar store, it was supposed to be whatever the client or customer said was right, and I don't know about you guys, but when I go into a brick and mortar today, if I have a issue or anything, it's starting to turn around, but for the last several years, there really is, they do not treat you with respect. Right. You do not get service of any kind, and, they just, in some instances will be on the phone with other people before they even will look at you. And so I feel like, at least in the brick and mortar end of it, that had really gone down in the way it was provided. I do see some things changing there. But so I think that respect is a huge thing, and being flexible. Oh my goodness. As virtual assistants, I think we tend to be pretty flexible, but sometimes not so much. And depending on our clients' needs, and depending on what services we provide, that can be a really big thing, is being willing to switch from one thing to another and help them, and whatever their needs are as well. And then some of the things that we were going to talk about too are like some of the best practices. And I think this was a great jumping off point of the things that you discussed, because we're not only providing our own with our team customer service, and I've just dealt with this recently myself. So I love that you said you stand by your team, because I had to do that with one of mine, but still keep the client happy, and so there's a fine balance, like you said, there's a fine line there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they, our clients come to us, we have to protect our team, especially when we get to a place where we have a really good team. That's worth so much more, and so you have to protect them, and it's kind of like your children. You always will fight for your children if they're honest with you and all of those things. And I think that's true with our teams. We kind of, make sure they're like a family. And so we want to make sure. Now, if they are in the wrong, of course, we're going to do some things with our client, and we're going to talk to our teammate, but we do protect our teammate, I think, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I think is important, that some virtual assistants provide customer service support in general. That's one of the services they provide. And so they're not only have to be up on customer service for their client, but for their client's customers as well. And I think that can be a difficult balance also, because you're always trying to make sure that you provide good service on behalf of the client. So that's kind of tricky too. Do you have any of those situations, Frances? Either one, where you had to protect the team or where you're providing support for a client?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, it's a fine balance. It's a lot of work building a team. It's a lot of work finding the right fit, and then the training. Because of my niche and my industry that I work in, which is mental health, my clients are kind of, and I don't want to say that your clients aren't, but my clients are kind of unique, because when they go to hand over stuff, they are like, they're therapists, but they're like, oh my God, I can't let this go. I've got to do it myself, but they can't. So I have to assure them that my team is trained personally by me to handle this particular task. And backing up a little bit on the relationship, I do start that in my very first consultation with a potential client. And I spend time getting to know them, and I tell them in that conversation that we're not perfect, and I let them know that right up front. There are times where we may make mistakes. I'm not going to say will, but may. And there's going to be times where things happen that we have issues, but please come and talk to me so we can work it out. And communication for me is very, very huge on both ends. So having spent the time building a team, and Lisa and I have talked about this, going through that long process of finding somebody and training them, and it's just like, oh, and yet still working and pedaling as you go. Absolutely want to protect them, and but I believe in the people that I have brought on, and I am extremely picky about the people that I bring on. I want them to work as I would work with that client. I tell them straight out, you need to do this way if you want to be on my team. I work with integrity, I work with morals, I work with honesty, I do above and beyond. Just because that's the way I was learned, and that's what people really love. So on the other end with the client, because they have clients and I'm talking to them as well, it's a multiple level of people that you're working with, not just your own clients. So, I've had my clients go, oh my gosh, you are like a God-sent angel to them. I've been with them for so many years, and I've never seen them so organized and so well. But yet, at the same time, if there's problems with them, I have to handle that too. So you do have both sides of the spectrum that you're dealing with in those situations. And I always approach it, I'm very honest, I'm very real with people, I'm very people oriented, and I'm very professional, but I'm very open. And I find that when you become real and you become, um, if you have your professional air about you, but you're very real to them and approachable, the that's where you can solve problems. The flexibility, I've seen other people run their businesses and they're just not flexible and they're constantly complaining about their clients and this and that. I'm thinking, why? I don't understand. I don't have that problem. And I think it's because they're not really seeing the importance of being flexible with their clients, with the customer service, and if they have a team, making sure that that both sides are working as well. So, I would recommend, if somebody's really struggling with clients and they're not happy, they're grumbling, turn it around. Do you have a relationship with them? Are you communicating with them? If I don't understand something that a client wants, even if I have to send 20 emails, I'm going to clarify it because I want to make sure that I'm giving them what they want. I think that will head off so many of the problems is if you communicate and make sure that you're talking with your client and understanding. If you have to mirror back what they're saying, is this what you mean? That kind of thing. So, those are some of the tools and the strategy that I use even on both sides. I tell my team, if you have a problem with the client you're working with, you need to tell me ASAP. Do not wait. And I'm staunch about communication.
I think that's a great point. First of all, the communication aspect of it is huge because if they don't communicate, then you can't know how to, first of all, that there is an issue, second of all, how to fix that issue.
Yeah.
And so that's huge. And I love how you talk about putting a team together, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think a lot of people or VAs starting a multi-VA company do not realize how difficult it is to get a great team together. I mean, it's taken me many years to really put a great team together. I've had good teams and different aspects of it at times, but it really does take a lot of work and some training and other things too. But it really does take time and effort to put into that. Plus, like you said, you're still trying to work as well. So it is a little overwhelming sometimes. And you have to know going into it that those, what your expectations are of your team and with your clients. And I think that customer service or just some of the things you talked about and aspects within it are very sometimes a gift. Some VAs have it, some don't, I think, and maybe those VAs need to have somebody else handling that. But I think that certainly most of us do one-on-one with our clients and handle those things. So I really appreciate your point of view on there. And just a couple of quick things I wanted to point out on some things to have quality that help make quality customer service. We talked about the building the relationships. Integrating your support channels. This is huge right now too, and that just means whether it's through SMS, text chatting, video chatting, mobile platforms, especially social media. This is how you're going to provide quality. And I think Lisa's going to talk about a few more things in regard to that. But this is how you're going to provide some quality services as well as coach and train, like Frances talked about. You need to talk to your employees. You need to tell them when you're dealing with a client or a client's client, this is what I expect. This is how I expect you to react and act to those, people. Whether it's good or bad, they need to have some expectation and know what your expectation from your company is. Focus on the metrics of your customer. So in other words, how do you measure success? Do you, reward your employees if there's really great customer service and feedback? Those kind of things. It's a little different in our industry, I think, because you don't always have as much of that to have to, do that with. But it was interesting because I found one statistic, and I'll see if I can find it again real quick. But anyway, they basically said 95% of companies said that customer service feedback was important and that they always asked for the feedback, but only 11 or 10% of them actually did anything with it, so or acted upon it. So we can get all the feedback and the metrics, analytics, and all of those things, but if we don't do anything with it, then it's not helping us or our company or our clients at all. And then it starts at the top. It starts at the top of the company with what you put off as the top of the company, as the one creating your company, and how you interact, just as Frances was saying, how you interact with your clients and their clients. And that's going to permeate through the whole business. And so when you're kind, when you treat others with respect, when you have relationship with the others, those things make a huge difference. And and then the last thing would be, again, the data, just making sure you have the data and that a little different, but as you get feedback from clients, we all get testimonials and feedback, ask them to be brutally honest. Say, where can I improve? Where do I need to improve? How, and what do I do well? What don't I do well? That will always help you in the end, regardless of what the situation is at the time. In the end, that feedback will really help you. I don't want to run out of time. I want to make sure Lisa has some time, and then if we get more, we'll go back and look at some companies maybe that are doing it right. But I want to hand it over to Lisa so that she can take this next part for us.
I don't hear her.
Lisa, are you there? I know she was muted. I don't know if she's there or not. Okay, well, we'll talk about some. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. That's okay. Go ahead.
Chatting away. I'm just chatting away. No, I wanted to talk about customer service in a social media setting, and how we deal with it that way, because that's new. Customer service, like Nanette brought up, used to be a back office in the back of the store, a department. And in my research on customer service in the social media setting, I found that someone said, now listen to this, customer service is an attitude, not a department. Think about that. Taking an extra moment to think about something from their point of view usually makes you a much better marketer. A much better marketer. And Frances, you talked about that, getting to the bottom of the issue. But we don't, do we expand that thought to the point of it makes us a better marketer to listen to their side of the story and get to the bottom of it. A point I want to make too is, Tammy brought up the word, the expectation, setting that expectation up in that consultation, as Frances mentioned, having that consultation in the beginning. Setting that expectation as to what that client is needing and what you're going to be providing and how you're going to be providing it. I don't know about y'all, but I have made up a initial, what do I call that thing? I send it to new clients or anyone even inquiring about working with us. I put it in an ebook or PDF type format where it talks about our company. It's like a snapshot of how we began, what we offer, and some boundaries, some expectations, like certain holidays that we don't work on. 4th of July, Easter, New Year's Eve and day, Christmas Eve and day, things like that. So it's mapped out for them in the beginning that our turnaround is 24 hours. Not real time necessarily, because we set that expectation in that immediate consultation that us and our team members work with several clients at the time. So we're not on call per se. Now, I know working with realtors, which is my niche, Some of them need immediate assistance at times if a lender needs a signature from the seller or the buyer on a certain document for closing. Inspection amendment where some repairs need to be made, and that amendment's got to be put in the package to the attorney. Those types of things I have to be flexible with, just like you said, Frances. There's a point where you have to be flexible. But when you have a client that comes on and wants to rewrite your contract or expects something of you that would be expected of an employee, then we may have to sit back and say things like, well, I'm a business owner, and, let's look at this. And you may have to stand up and draw a boundary around your business. So anyway, I wanted to throw this out there. Studies show that more than 85% of companies compete with the customer experience nowadays. It's getting too expensive for industries to compete on the price, so they need to differentiate themselves with the customer experience, especially in a social media setting. And when you interact with your customers on a one-to-one basis on social media, it makes them more loyal. Think about that. Loyal customers spend more time with you, like Frances said about that relationship, and they stay longer with you and tell friends about you, and you build a close relationship, even on social media. What do you think about that, Frances?
Well, I have to admit that my connection with my clients is more texting and email. And it's surely been because of my time. I have not really cultivated my social media business page as I probably should. So I don't want to speak into that because I really don't have the connection with them on social media as you're saying, but I can see where that would be the case because social media is so much more than just a social thing. It's business now. When I got into my business, I started seeing Facebook a whole different way, as just getting on there, seeing what your friends are doing and posting pictures. Now, do I do that still? Yeah, but anymore, it's you going on to see what's happening business-wise, and that has been a huge place of gaining clients for me. But so because people are on there so much, I can see that the importance of communicating. Social means just that, communicating with people, being connected to them. And you don't want to get on there and just sell. You want to get on there and build your relationship. And so I think that it would be a very critical aspect.
Let's move on to talking about responding to complaints on social media.
Ah.
Have y'all gotten a complaint on social media? I haven't, but I've had clients who have. Social media management is one of the things that we offer our clients, and I'm monitoring constantly. I'm monitoring their pages, and I have had some negative comments come up on their social media, and I immediately notify the owner and ask them, how they want to deal with that. Do they want to jump on there and deal with it? Do they want me to? Things like that. And you have to be pretty responsive with stuff like that. Around 40%.
You're absolutely right. Excuse me, Lisa. I was just going to point out, as Frances was talking about Facebook and everything, and I'm sure you all have noted that on Facebook they even give you a responsive rate. I don't know if you've noticed on that. Like when you go on there, it shows like how quickly you respond and things like that, and it even shows that. So which can factor whether people or not work with you. And I admittedly on Facebook itself, I'm a little on Twitter and other things, I'm right there, but Facebook I'm gearing up even more now because of that.
Exactly. 40% of all social media complainers expect a response within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The average response to social media complaints is almost 5 hours.
Yeah.
You have to respond to those complaints because people are watching. Other people are watching. Other followers to that page or that profile or that account like Twitter or Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can post a comment on any of the social media platforms anymore. It's not just pictures. Even on Pinterest, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep an eye on it. When you don't respond to it, it says a lot about your engagement with your audience. Also, by resolving customer problems, you can often turn them from being unhappy to happy. I find that it's best to get a complaint head on. Don't just delete it. Don't just say, sorry about that, or we're sorry that you feel that way. Learn more about it. It may not have to be on the internet, on that page for everybody to see, but some of it you may want others to see. They need to see how you're resolving that. And at other times you may want to take it to a telephone call and get to the bottom of it if it was a expensive customer complaint. But you want to get to the bottom of it and make them a happy customer if at all possible. Complaints tell you a lot about what's going on in your own business. Plus, if you look at the substance of the complaint, you'll find there's maybe something wrong with the product or service that you're offering. We've got to be open-minded about that. We can't be defensive or take it personally. It is business. We're not going to make everyone happy. And if we can make them happy, let's do that. And if we can't, then we may need to be honest about that. Let's say that, because I have team members that work with attorneys, realtors, other types of business owners. Let's say that I have an attorney who's not getting what he or she is paying for. The team member has done everything she can, or, because my paralegals are women, that's why I say that. I may need to get honest and refer that customer to someone else, just to make sure that they're getting their needs met. And that honesty, that upfrontness, that ability to want their needs met is going to go much, much farther than just trying to piecemeal and make it right.
Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Francis?
Yeah, I do. I think that most people, when they're complaining, the one thing that they want is to be heard. And a lot of times, if you listen and you do validate what they're saying, you can almost solve anything. Whether it is solving and keeping, or solving and referring them out. I actually am also a professional certified coach, and that was in our training. One of the things, the three things, was listening and validating, and then empathizing with where they are and the problem they are. But I have also learned that it's okay to not service everybody because it's not necessarily a good fit. And I've done that where I have, quote, fired some clients, or in the beginning, I was told the best time to fire somebody is when you hire them, or even before you hire them. And if even if financially you're thinking, I really want this client, I need this client, I need this income, but it becomes more of a problem for you and for them, it's not worth it. Nobody's going to be happy. And when you do what you said, Lisa, is, if you have to find them somebody and refer them out, that's part of your reputation, because that client's going to say, you know what, this person, I would recommend, they would be a great fit for you, and they will do that because you were brave enough and honest enough and bold enough to say, let me find somebody that's a better fit for you. So I absolutely agree with that. Don't be afraid to say no.
I
but
think
offer
people
help.
respect you too more when you do that. When you have the class and the dignity to say, look, I think this isn't a good fit, but I have somebody else in mind for you. You know, they're going to respect you a lot more and maybe even refer you to somebody else who would be a good fit for you. So I think that's a great idea, Francis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, now, let's talk about when they praise you on social media. Well, we all love that. We all love the good reviews. We're not going to turn those down. If someone is praising you publicly or on social media for all of their friends, fans, and followers to see, there's no bigger gift from them to you. We all appreciate that and love that. To ignore that praise can be construed as rude. You know, jump on there, say thank you so much for that. That is so sweet. Well, I really appreciate that. I've had clients jump on social media on my business page and say, team member Christy just jumped in there and took care of the problem. She's a great fit for my business, blah, blah, blah. Even though those reviews sit over there on Facebook, they sit over there to the side, I'll jump in there, I'll copy and paste it and put it on the page so everybody sees it. And we need to acknowledge that to that client and thank them for taking the time to leave that review, whether it be Google or on LinkedIn or, you know, some of the other places that we may have postings. We need to make sure that they know we see that and we appreciate them taking the time to do that. The expectation regarding response time is an hour, but you have to ask yourself if you want to meet that customer expectation or exceed it. And like you said, Frances, at the beginning, that you are an exceeder, a customer service exceeder. You want to go above and beyond. And all of us need to have that expectation of ourselves, that we not just meet what they're needing, but go above and beyond. A lot of our clients need that collaborative relationship with us. They want our ideas. If one of my teams sees where something could be done more efficiently or quickly or in a better way or worded differently, maybe in advertising or something, if we can give our feedback, they a lot of times appreciate that because we do become a vested partner in their business. We're not just an assistant taking care of the basics. We need to give our feedback, and if we see where something could be done better, you know, don't be afraid to offer that. Here's a good question. Is the customer always right, Frances?
No, not at all. But that doesn't mean that you change your attitude, because what you said earlier about customer service being an attitude is still very critical and important. But, you know, early on in my business, I had a very high-profile client, and I dealt with her business manager for most of the time. And they were in New York. Okay, add that up. And it was difficult because she didn't read the contract, and she wanted something, and I said, I'm sorry, you know, I can't do that. And she just started throwing a fit, stomping her feet, and I stood my ground. I stayed very professional. I stayed very open. I did not get defensive. I did not, you know, close the door at all. I stayed very open, very professional, but I stood my ground. And, you know, eventually when we resolved the problem, that was one of those cases where I said, you know, it's probably a good idea if I find somebody that is a little bit more geared towards, you know, what she wanted, the on-call without rush fees and 24 hours and this and that and hours to roll over. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't work that way. And this is what the contract says. And, you know, it was provided to you in advance and blah, blah, blah. So it, you know, I resolved it, but in the process stayed, again, open, professional, approachable, but I stood my ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes the customer's right, and often the attitude the customer is right can drive away good business. If
Mhm.
your company focuses on satisfying those who cannot be satisfied, I mean, not everybody's going to be happy. And if we take it personal, or we're always focused on someone who drains that energy out of us by trying to keep them happy all the time, sometimes it's just not possible.
It's not worth it.
That's right. If instead you decide that the customer is always right, then you're going to end up devoting resources and energy to those who are angry and can't be satisfied. Those
Yeah.
resources that could work towards retaining good customers who
Right.
pay your bills, instead of going towards customers who probably won't even stick around no matter what you do.
Right.
For example, the customer is not an expert. They may think they know what they need, but you and your team are the experts. Giving the customer what they think they need can be destructive. It can end up being destructive. Put your experience and confidence in the abilities of you and your team behind your opinion, and stand by the situation where a customer is either disagreeing or demanding something you can't or won't deliver. Exactly what you said, Frances.
Mhm.
When you went into business, you knew you had skills others could benefit from. And part of our position as VAs is to explain to customers why what we have to offer is the best. If it isn't, or the customer can truly do better, that's when we'll look at referring them to someone else. I mean,
Yeah.
we're the experts. Obviously, our customer experience matters, but bending over backwards to give them what they want instead of what they need is not going to do us or our clients any favors.
Well, and Lisa, I always kind of try to educate the client in the process, because I'll tell them, especially in my niche, I'm dealing with therapists, and people think, oh, they've got it all together because they're telling everybody else what to do. Mm-mm. And I'll tell them, when they start in that mode of thinking they know and they're the expert, and I'll say, it's kind of like if I were to come in and sit down and tell you how to, counsel your clients. And I don't have the education and the experience and the skills to do that, but I think I can. I said, same thing. You've not walked in my shoes. You don't know. Most of them, don't have the business sense, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if I gently educate them and kind of show them, then they start to give them a picture in their mind. They start to back up and go, oh, she's right. Shut my mouth, kind of a thing. But learning to say, Lisa, no, I'm not going to do this, or no, I'm not going to have this client, is probably one of the best things you can do. I moved into opening my own business because the stress that I had in the corporate world was so horrendous, and I said, I am not going to do that anymore. And so the first time, with that high end client, it was so pick and stressful, and I went, wait a minute, what am I doing? So it's okay to say no. It's okay to tell them, you know, no, you don't know, or no, I'm not that fit for you, that kind of thing. I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do for your business.
Mm-hmm.
It's
One of
helpful.
the things, too, that I wanted to just bring up before we run out of time, because we do manage teams, if you don't mind for just a moment, is the fact that what we were talking about before, training our team and all of that, but also one of the big things when I was researching that kept coming up was, and we consider our team kind of like employees, even though most of us have 1099 employees.
Hmm.
Sometimes with their engagement and their happiness as well. So when they're servicing your client, the company's clients and interacting with the clients or even with their customers, the very fact can depend on how happy they are at their job,
Hmm.
because that's going to reflect in the way that they treat your clients and customers and all of that as well. So and I've seen this happen before, that if somebody doesn't really like working on a client, or it's not really something they want to do, then the service isn't there like it would be when somebody's really happy and content to be working on that client.
Mhm.
And I wanted to also just point out a couple of companies that are really doing it right, according to some surveys. So now we did talk about briefly brick and mortar. So Nordstrom's has always had high-end service,
Mhm.
high-end customer service and care there. So that's one of the stores that is still doing it right. Amazon was
Mhm.
another store that came up, and of course they're online. And so most of the time it's because they're shipping fast, it's personalized service. And I know that even for myself, I've had a couple instances where things should have been returned and things like that, and they took care of it immediately. I mean, it was no problem. And then Chick-fil-A was another
Mhm.
one,
Yes.
because, and
Yes.
they're always, what do they say when they serve you? My pleasure. My
Mhm.
pleasure, yes. And my daughter worked there for a very short time years ago, and she would come home and say that too, which I thought was rather nice.
Tammy,
Much to her chagrin.
I
What's
just want
that?
to, I just wanted to say that, because I had thought about this earlier, that in all of my invoices, when I invoice my clients, I say it is a pleasure serving you, and I state their name to personalize it, and that truly is my heart. Is I am serving them, and a lot of what I've noticed in a lot of the groups that I'll listen to, some of the chatting going on in the VA world is they don't have the attitude that they're serving their
Mhm.
client. And if you don't, um, it's going to be a challenge for their business to grow, because that's basically what we're doing is we're
Yeah,
serving them. We need to have a servant attitude.
a servant's
That's
heart,
true.
absolutely.
That's
Go
true.
ahead,
But
Nanette.
you also, I know, with that servant attitude is that um, I'm servicing the customer, but at the same time, I'm being upfront and
Oh
transparent
yeah,
on what I'm
absolutely.
able
Mhm.
to do and what I can't do. And if I have to
Hmm.
reiterate that several times to certain customers, then I will in a polite way. But you know, s- servicing them doesn't mean servitude. You know.
No, that's, yeah, no. I think it's the servant heart of
Yeah.
wanting to assist them with whatever it is we are going to do for them. I think that's way different, because I had to fire a client, gosh, a year or two ago, because it was like you're talking about, Nanette, where just wanted me, boom, 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 and serve and bow down. And that wasn't, I'm a business owner too. Let's talk as colleagues. Sometimes I understand I'm working with you and you are my client. So, I do work for you in essence, but I still own my own company. And so I think we have to balance that out sometimes and still come across as wanting to serve and help them. But definitely it's a fine line, to
Absolutely.
balance all of that. And I think having that heart of wanting to serve, I don't think you can get into this industry without having that, truly. Because I think if you don't, then I think, like you're saying, Francis, that, it needs to start there. That's where it just starts. And if you don't
Hmm.
have that, you will struggle in this industry. I agree with
Exactly.
that totally.
Yeah, it's too
Exactly.
easy
Yeah.
to think when you get in this industry that, this is a great way to make money or whatever, and not see the big picture that
Mm.
that why are you doing it? And I think we talked about that in our past,
Mhm.
earlier VA to VA meetings that, look at when you do your business model, why are you doing this?
Right.
Are you here to service because you have your skills and knowledge that you want to give? Because if you have the wrong mindset, this is not going to work,
Mhm.
and your reputation is going to be ruined.
Hmm.
Absolutely, and that's so true. I see all over online. If you want to make quick money, become a VA. And I think you have no idea what a VA does then, if that's what you think. Because believe me, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat and tears sometimes. And just as we've talked about today, it's not just about the work you do for them, but it's the whole attitude and mental behind it as well. Plus, those of us who have teams, you're building those teams, and that takes so much effort and so much work. So it is. It definitely, you don't get into this business to make quick money at all. Because
Exactly.
they really don't know.
Exactly.
And I admire you, Francine. I mean, growing so fast and having to hire people and having to balance the customer service and make sure your team is giving the customer service as you grow so fast. That must be a juggle.
Yeah, it is, and there's times where if I dwell on it too much, I get extremely anxious, and I have to stop myself and go, okay, calm down. Um, but I also, I just have to throw in there that I have a faith background that I really rely on to keep me at a level of the pace where I'm not getting ahead of myself or God, because I couldn't do it otherwise. So it is a juggle, but and one of the things that I don't do is I don't micromanage my team. I don't want to. I don't feel I should, because they're adults, and so I'm not going to have somebody on my team that I have to do that. So I really make sure that when I bring somebody on, that they're going to, I trust they're going to do their job. And that really does help when you're building a team, is to, and I tell them, we're going to do this probation period of 90 days. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to work it. And then in 90 days, we're going to review. If it's going well, then we'll, our percentage split, and everybody, as long as I'm happy, you're happy, and the client's happy, life is good.
Yes. Well, if you could give us one takeaway on how you built your company so fast, I know some of our audience would love to hear that as well, because you're relatively quickly added on to your team, correct? That's my understanding.
I did. I started 2 years ago this month, and in the first 3 months, I had 10 clients.
Is it because you specialize in what you do?
Yeah, that's part of it. It's a very small. I guess because I'm really having trouble finding other online business managers or VAs that specialize in this industry. So because of, there's several things, because of that special niche and not having as many OBMs or assistants that specialize in that. Plus, I have a lot of connections with therapists in the industry from my past, and once I started working with people and the word got out in social media and everybody started talking, I have the referrals have come in, and so I've never once in 2 years advertised or marketed at all.
That's wonderful.
And yeah, it's a blessing. It really is. And I quickly realized that it was way bigger than me, and I had to bring in help. And so,
what type of services do you specifically provide to them? I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking.
Oh, no, not at all. Actually, there's several things. We offer phones and scheduling for therapists. We handle their phones and schedule new intakes for them. We do. I do training and coaching. If a lot of therapists want to expand and hire staff underneath them, but they don't know how to hire. They don't know anything in the business world of building their practice. So I do a whole extensive HR training with them on how to find and weed out. I handle their what they call EHR, which is their online management for their clients and their their income and all of the technical stuff that they need to do, their notes. My new team member I just brought on is an insurance biller, because I've constantly had that request, and I kept having to turn them down because I will not do that. And I thought, this is craziness, because at least 1 to 2 a month I'm turning away because of insurance billing.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, just get smart, find somebody, and make it happen. So that's what I did. I'm doing that. So
when you think about it, that also involves customer service because you're reaching out to others to help provide that service for your clients who
exactly,
are requesting it.
exactly. And so she is quickly going to have to build a team because she can only, what she's got on her plate already, she can only probably handle 1 to 2 clients directly from me until she has to start building a team. So now I'm kind of, going to multi-level down, which is pretty cool.
That is.
Yeah, so, I wish I could say I have a magic, you know, plan or keywords but I don't. I am in the place where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And
It's a gift
my
from
faith is
God.
he's
Definitely.
absolutely opened the doors and
And
he
was this what
continues
you did
to.
in your corporate life as well, or was this something you just went into after?
No, I've actually been in the mental health industry for 10 years.
Okay, so that does help. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. I
I
don't
was
want
the
somebody
director.
mistakenly think, oh, well, I'm going to go and
No,
focus on that, and I'm going to become, I'm going
no.
to have 10 clients. I don't want them to mistakenly think that. So I don't
Exactly.
want that
No,
to be the takeaway.
I was the director for a very large counseling center in Southern California for 8 years, and I did every aspect of the
Right.
industry except go behind the doors and counsel.
Uh-huh.
I hired therapists, I fired therapists, I trained them, I kept them
Wow.
accountable, all of it. So excuse me, I got to sneeze.
Oh, bless you. Well,
All
that's
right.
amazing, though. That's an amazing story to hear, though, and that's wonderful that you were able to start your own company because of the experience that you have. And I think that's another part of the business, and we could talk all day long, but we've got to get off here in a minute.
Yeah.
But is that taking those skills that you have in the corporate world and bringing them back home, to the home office or wherever you're going to be as a VA, and turning it into the business. And that's
Exactly.
exactly what you've done very successfully, and we're so glad that you could spend time with us today, Frances.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Tammy, Lisa, and Nanette. It's been a pleasure. I enjoy it. A little early call for me on the West
I
Coast here.
know, and we appreciate it so much. We really do.
I was like this
Hang
morning,
on
I thought,
there. Yeah, hang on there. We're going to finish up our live, and we're going to talk for just a minute after if you'll hang in there with us, Frances, okay? So we're just going
absolutely.
to say goodbye to our live audience, and on YouTube, if you're watching our recording, we greatly appreciate you all tuning in and hope you learned something new today about customer service. And please feel free to send us questions or emails if you have any further, um, suggestions about future topics even. We'd love to hear it. And if you have questions about running your multi-VA companies. And we have some exciting things coming up for you, so just wait. And we do have our website up, so go to www.va2va and .com, and you'll find us on there and can also email us through there. I'm Tammy with Tammy's Office Solutions, and we'd love to assist you as well as I know the ladies on here. Nanette, go ahead and sign off with yours and Lisa's as well.
Sure, it was a pleasure. I love this topic. It's something that's very pertinent to all of us, and I'm glad we had a chance to do this. And just remember, don't take anything personal. Show appreciation for the customers you have. Learn to listen. That's the only way you can get better. And be enthusiastic and courteous.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you again, Frances, for joining us so early in California this morning. I knew you would be a good fit as a guest. I'm so proud of you growing your team like you have and the success you're having in your business. I just love that. And we will see you again next month. And like Tim said, if you have any particular topics you would like to have us discuss, or if you would like to be a guest, email us and let us know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.